Comment below if you got one of those sus advertisements for dropshipping. Those guys are always like, oh, these gurus are flexing their cars, flexing their Beverly Hills mansion. But here, I've got a course for you for $1,000, and that's already 50% off. Like, come on, who's actually listening? Who's actually trusting you?
Teen Wealth, Teen Wealth.
Let me preface this by saying I'm not one of those dropshipping gurus. I'm actually going to point out the upsides of dropshipping, and in the end, I'm even going to point out downsides, because obviously there's both and you can make a judged decision from there. But I'm not here to say you should do dropshipping, make sure to actually buy this course. Absolutely not. I'm just going to go over what it is and those main points from there. Anyways, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, make sure to subscribe, and if you like this content, make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and let's get right into it. So a year back, I actually started my own dropshipping business. But the only difference is, instead of actually dropshipping, I just bought all the supply beforehand, which was a big mistake. I actually made a whole video about what I regretted when I was making this business from the ground up, and you can access it somewhere here. So kind of like I said, a lot of mistakes were made along the way. I sold wireless chargers, but I do think I've learned some things that I can be able to share with you guys. So what is dropshipping? So essentially, you're the middleman between the manufacturer or your supplier and the actual customers yourself. So what you would do is actually you would have a website or anything, and you would take orders from the customers. And once you get those actual orders in, you would go to your supplier or manufacturer and you'd be like, hey, can you prepare XYZ units? Can you ship it out for me? So instead of the customers coming to you and you package and ship out the products yourself, they come to you to buy it, and then you go to your supplier and then you ask them to actually do all the hard work for you, and then you just pocket the profits in between. So the real question is, how do you do it? Well, number one, you're gonna wanna find a supplier. Get away with finding something on Alibaba, but generally they're gonna want you to buy in bulk. So that's what I did. They have a minimum order quantity. So I would suggest going to AliExpress instead, but there are a lot of downsides that can come from that will be listed later on. But there's also a lot of other fulfillment and suppliers that ship from the US or Canada. So you just want to do your research, search around from there. So step two, you want to set up your website. So you want to obviously put in pictures of your product. So I actually had to buy a sample, which is more expensive than the actual regular product, because with sample, they're only manufacturing one before they manufacture the rest. So you want to get a sample and actually take pictures, or if you're just buying a plain one without your logo and white labeling, just take it off from the website. Just make sure that with your suppliers, you have their permission, etc. Then you're going to want to go ahead and set up your website. There's a lot of different options. A lot of the gurus out there actually recommend Shopify, but that's a little bit expensive. I actually got a 90-day trial one, but I've actually been seeing a lot of advertisements about setting up your own Google shop, and apparently it's free. So just look into that. Choose a website that you actually like the tools and features on, not just because someone told you to use it, but also what fits in your budget. Then lastly, once all that's set up, you actually want to run ads. So a lot of the gurus will say run Facebook ads, but what I've noticed is actually from promoting Instagram posts, those get a lot more clicks. So you just want to play around, either use Facebook ads, promoting posts on Instagram, even like Snapchat has ads now for $5. They're starting at $5. Or if you have a bigger budget, you might want to go to TikTok, but you actually have to start off with $500, which can be a lot. Or you can even use organic marketing, like going to Reddit forums, Quora forums, and plugging your website, or even joining Facebook groups. There's actually quite a couple of benefits to this. Number one would be that there's no actual upfront cost depending on the actual platform you're using. So if it was like something like AliExpress, then once your customer places an order, then you go to your supplier and then you ask for that exact order. So you don't need to pre-buy it or pre-order it. You just buy it once your customer has placed the order, so the money's already there. Number two, there's actually very low inventory costs, like I said. You don't have to spend a whole bunch of money on supplies. You don't have to make the product. You don't have to manufacture it. If it was like a t-shirt, you don't need to buy like the iron, all that kind of stuff. So you don't have to have stock at all, because it's all at your supplier's place or wherever you're buying it from. And number 3, you don't actually need to handle any shipping and any of the hard work. So you don't need to package the item, you don't need to ship it out, you don't need to go to the postal office, you don't need to create the actual product yourself. All you gotta do is you pay the supplier a certain fee since they're doing it all for you. But generally a lot of people drop ship from China, so that's why the fees are quite low. Lastly, there's less risk because you're actually not buying any inventory on hand. You actually don't need to face the risk of losing all the inventory and not being able to sell out. So that's one thing. So some of the downsides are actually pretty bad shipping times. So if we're talking AliExpress, it can take up to 1 month, even longer, because they're shipping from across the seas, and also they don't have the most stable method of fulfilling. And you also don't have control over the fulfillment times itself. Additionally, you also don't have control over packaging. So I know on TikTok, there's a lot of cool, cute packaging that unless you want to customize it and pay extra on like Alibaba or with your supplier, you actually won't be able to do that. So that's one thing. Also, you can't package it yourself. You also have to rely fully on your suppliers. So if they're like operating at a really sus factory, that can definitely be an issue. And you also won't get to see the product itself, and that can be a downside because obviously when you have a product you want to sell, you want to be able to actually know it and you want to know its features inside out. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. It not only helps me out with the YouTube algorithm, but also I'll know that you enjoyed this video and I'll make sure to make more of it. And if you're not already subscribed, subscribe because I post finance videos every single week and it's free. It's completely free. So I'll make sure to see you guys next week. Bye!